here we go. It's us. It's us. I'm Gazbot, but today I am the Gazbot Knight, and with me, my co-host, the Big Dawg Defender. Say hello, Big Dog. No? Uh-oh. Did the Big Dog freeze? Can you not hear me?
Can you can you hear me?
Big Dog, I can hear you. Can you not hear me? Come in. Alpha, are we having trouble? Uh-oh.
There we go. I'm good now. Are you good?
Yeah, we're all good because we're Power Rangers, so we have to be good.
Well, as you said, I am the big dog, also known as the Big Dog Defender when I'm all morphed and ready to roll. And thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, well, you should be the normal number two. We might once in a while have to fill your seat with someone else, but you are the de facto default co-host. Thanks for everybody for checking in. Looks like we got Dolly Girl, Improved AI, Airzuki, and Samurai Ox. At the very least, there could be some lurkers, and that's fine. So, what is this? What are we doing? Big Dog, why are we here?
Well, it seems like even before today, you and I have talked Power Rangers for hours on end. So why not let everybody
Thank you
else
for the
know
host.
what we're talking about?
Okay, that sounds good. And so what I'm going to try to do, for those of you that know me, I'm an artist. I do a lot of Power Ranger art. So I'm going to try to draw Power Ranger art. Hey, there's a turkey lurky. Thank you very much for the lurk. Who was that? That was Samurai Ox. No, Samurai Ox gave a host and a lurk, so thank you. So the idea is the new season of Power Rangers, which will be called Beast Morphers, which is the first season that Hasbro will be at least they're owning and they're at least co-producing with Saban at the very least, if not fully, and that starts next weekend on Nickelodeon. So what we're going to do is every week have a show, a wrap-up show about that, and also talk about any Power Ranger news, and I'll be sketching, maybe stuff from the show, or if not, just general Power Ranger stuff. And this is sort of the test stream. The show hasn't come out yet. The slideshow you're watching is the first trailer, the teaser trailer they dropped. So we're going to talk a little bit about the trailer and about other things Power Rangers related now, but it'll be kind of short. Hey, Mashadar, thanks for all the whatever those are, sheep and helmets. I can't tell.
I Something like that. Goats. We'll go with
Goats.
goats.
Hello, Danny. Yeah, so today is our test stream. Normally the show will probably be about an hour. I don't know if it'll be that long this time since we don't have an episode to talk about. But thank you very much for the subscription, Improved AI. I appreciate that. But I think what we want to do is gizbot.org. I think what we want to do is start off for those that don't know who we are or where we're coming from, and just sort of talk about our experience with Power Rangers, what we know, what we don't know, and go into it that. So I think I'm gonna try the one shot here for Big Dog and let you go first. There you go. So why don't you go ahead and tell people what it is you know and like about Power Rangers, what your history is with it, etc.
Well, for me, I started with Power Rangers when I was younger with Mighty Morphin, and from there watched for many years while it was still on Fox. Kind of fell out a little bit during the ABC era, but came back strong with Super Mega Force kind of sorta era, and found Gazbot as my compatriot to also talk Power Rangers. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I like the comics, I like the toys, the video games, pretty much most things Power Rangers I'm a fan of, and I did say most things, so I'm sure the things that I like a little bit less we'll talk about in the coming episodes.
Totally. Let me go back to two shot. Yeah, one thing I'm realizing is I like the idea of running this like a show, but also drawing. But I'm having to. I don't know how much drawing I'm going to be able to get done on these. But whatever, we'll see what we do. So I guess I'll go to my one shot. I'm Gazbot, or the Gazbot Knight here. I am an artist for a living, and I do a lot of, among other things, Power Rangers art. And I am older, so Power Rangers was on when I was in high school. I was like young high school when it was on, and I was sort of too old for it, but I kind of watched it a little anyway. And the Green Ranger really intrigued me, and I watched it a little bit and forgot about it. And then I have a younger brother, and he watched some Zeo, and I watched a little Zeo, and I was like, "Ooh, Jason came back," and then I forgot about it. Fast forward a few years, and now I'm an old man, and I'm at Comic-Con or something. I don't remember what got me back into it exactly. It definitely revolved around seeing a toy of the Green Ranger, and then I saw Jason David Frank and got a picture with him, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back and watch some old Power Rangers. And then my wife Airzuki and I started watching Super Sentai. We watched Zoo Ranger, and I'm like, ooh, there's a lot more history here than I realized, and I got interested in the bigger scope of the world. And then I just started. I found out about the Legendary War, and I said, okay, let me watch the new stuff from Samurai up to the Legendary War. And then I watched all the new stuff, and I've gone back and watched most of the old stuff. There's a few seasons I haven't seen, but I've seen 80% of everything at this point. And so it seemed like a fun thing to like the Big Dog said. He's my main Power Ranger buddy, and he's also a toy collector like me. I'm gonna go back to the two shot here in 1 second. There we go. And so we talk about toys, we talk about Power Rangers, the show, the comic, everything he just said. And so we felt like it'd be fun to do that publicly while we analyze each issue of Beast Morphers, and we're not going to sugarcoat it and say it's great if it's not, but we're also not going to be nasty about it. We're going to try to be fair. I mean, even the worst season of Power Rangers is still Power Rangers. It's still fun. It's like bad pizza. It's still something. Let me see. Let me check the chat here. A lot of people saying hello and being positive. A lot of woof woofs for the Big Dog. And
Thank you, Airzy.
Erzuki, fun fact: Big Dog's favorite season of Power Rangers is Operation Overdrive, and he will definitely not get super angry at you for bringing that up. She might be trolling. There's a possibility of a troll there.
I'll plant the seed that Operation Overdrive is a point of contention between
Mashstar, thank you for the host.
Gazbot and myself. So
I'm sure it'll come up.
yeah, just like his favorite Red Ranger is Troy from Mega Force and Super Mega Force. The Red Ranger's so nice they gave him 2 seasons instead of 1.
I see. Okay, well, if we're gonna be spreading lies, we'll just keep doing that. Improve the AI. What the heck is bad pizza? I agree. There's no such thing as bad pizza. All right, so that's sort of the intro. Before we get into talking about the trailer, is there any Ranger news that you wanted to discuss?
I don't know if it would consider news, but actually earlier today I saw Bruno's video. Shout out to MMPR Toys on YouTube. His comparison of the American Morpher and the Japanese Morpher, and
Yeah.
just kind of seeing some of the differences. And it's something that I know you and I have a couple of the Japanese toys, but
Right.
it's cool to see how many new features Hasbro is definitely looking at and kind of keeping the adult collectors in mind. So it's looking good so far from what he showed.
I
He
agree.
only got to play with it a little bit, but from everything that was going on in the video of the comparisons, there was only one minor nitpick he had that he liked more on the Japanese version, but he's also known to usually like the Japanese versions more. So for him to say nice things about the American over the Japanese, I think is a testament to it overall.
I agree. I saw the same video, and I recommend it for anybody that wants to check it out if you're a toy collector. And the things I noticed he said about the American was that it had an extra light in the cycle, I believe. Was that the American one? And that it had a Velcro strap as opposed to one of the rubber ones, which is a matter of preference. I prefer the Velcro strap myself. The funny thing is, though, usually if you collect American toys, you could look at the Japanese and go, oh, you know what? This Japanese toy is significantly better. I'm going to get that and dish out the money. And you kind of pick and choose. But now we might be coming into a situation where instead of a dumbed down version and a less dumbed down version of the same toy, we're going to have completely different toys potentially. And you might be in a situation where, like, do I want to buy both? Do I have to choose one or the other? So it's good and bad problem to have for collectors for sure. On the side of collecting, people may have heard of Hasbro, now owns Power Rangers, and they're also doing the toys, obviously. And they've created Hasbro Pulse, which is their site. You could, get free shipping if you pay a subscription, blah, 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 blah. And they've started the Lightning line. It's interesting to me that they released 4 figures for the Lightning line, or will be releasing in a few months. And one of them is Lord Zed, but Lord Zed is already sold out, even from the pre-orders from Hasbro. So, do you think that is going to be something where he's going to be super rare and hard to get and expensive, or is it just a momentary thing and in a month or two it'll be no big deal?
I think it's momentary. I think Hasbro with the Pulse is tempering how many they're going to give out, because one thing that I saw that unfortunately I waited too long on was right when they announced it at Toy Fair.
Hmm.
They said for Transformers they had certain bots that were the deluxe class for $10 each.
Right. I heard about
And
that too.
then those immediately sold out, and then they reposted them for 20.
Right.
So
Well,
for this,
that was
yeah.
probably just a promotion though. That's a sale to get people interested, I'm sure.
But in terms of allocation, I could see if there's no sale on them and on their own website they have them temporarily sold out, that
Hmm.
may be A, to build demand for it with lack of supply, or just to kind of have people try to jump on pre-orders at other sources also. Like I
Right.
know Big Bad Toy Store has it. Some people have been getting them from
I've seen
GameStop.
some from Big Bad and other places where they're more expensive, even without the sale,
Yep.
because they're just, they mark it up a buck and then they have shipping and stuff. So I do worry that Hasbro might be cannibalizing its own distribution that way.
I've heard that Hasbro's is kind of doing that in general. Adjacently, Magic the Gathering is cutting out distribution,
Mm,
and it's owned by Hasbro, and
okay.
they're selling directly to Walmart and Amazon, and I think one other big box, maybe Target.
Hmm.
So that's a big point of contention right now in that community
Gotcha.
of what's going to happen to local stores, what's going to happen to some of the other retailers or e-tailers, and I could see them just kind of across the line doing a trickle effect for more collector centric properties that they have of, well, let's see if people want to just
Right.
cut out the middleman and buy from us, and if we can make it work, then we'll make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I don't want to get too. We're getting a little bit off track of Power Rangers, obviously, but this does relate because Hasbro is a
Yep.
company that now owns it and is putting stuff out. But I would say overall, I'm generally very positive about the toys and that sort of
Yep.
direction they're taking. All right, so let's move on to talking about the trailer. There were two trailers. I'm gonna go to the full screen for the trailer real quick.
Hmm.
Um, there we go. So what we're looking at now, unfortunately, I can't manually control this. This is a slideshow of images I took from the first, what they call the teaser trailer. And the main thing about this one, and this one's been out for a little while now. The other one just dropped a few days ago, and we'll look at that next. This is all imagery that has been pulled from Super Sentai. And for those that don't know, Super Sentai is the Japanese TV show that Power Rangers is based on. So they're always ahead, by one season, by several seasons. In this case, they went back a few years to do Go Busters. So while this is a Power Rangers Beast Morphers trailer, everything in it is from Go Busters. There's nothing original yet. So looking at this trailer before we talk about the next one, what were your initial thoughts?
Looking at the initial trailer, I really liked the CG they used for the Zords.
Hmm.
I think in the past, sometimes it's either looked a little too grainy or it's too smooth, if you understand what I mean, where it's almost
Yes.
less organic. Like, I don't know. I'm sometimes taken back by it, whereas with this trailer, it seemed really good. And I give them full credit where they definitely hyped up the action for it, whether it pans out or not starting this
Right.
weekend, we'll see,
I agree.
but it definitely did its job in getting us excited for it, I think.
I completely agree. I also sometimes trouble with the CGI. I mean, I love the rubber suits. Sometimes they don't look great, and I understand that you mix the two together for budget and best effect. Um, Most of the CGI looked pretty good to me. I like the suits have grown on me. For a while, I was like, oh, it's too different, but now it's kind of come around. I really like the sunglasses; they're super reflective color,
Yep.
and I kind of like the suits. And it having seen this initial trailer, it definitely makes it look less like a bunch of teenagers hanging out that got to skip class to go save the world, and more like a team that works for the government or some secret agency, more like like superheroes,
Yep.
like in the modern day. And those outfits kind of match that, where they look like leather or like Kevlar or something. So I kind of dig that. And yeah, with the slideshow, there was an image a minute ago where it has the Megazord on like a motorcycle flying, shooting down, and like when you were talking about action, like yeah, that looks awesome. I'm all for over the top action. And the other thing I liked about this trailer specifically was one of the first scenes. It shows the Earth and then it shows a city, and it shows Megazords. I don't know if they're good or bad, or maybe they're monsters because a lot of them look mechanical. So I'm
Yep.
assuming some are evil. Are like walking through water, and then there's like four of them converging on a building, and it gave me a very like Godzilla kaiju like sense of
Hmm.
scale. It wasn't just we know they're big. It was like you're showing us they're big, and that I liked
Yep.
that. It is a bummer that we didn't learn much more in this one. All the shots of the Rangers obviously are morphed, so we didn't see the American actors and stuff.
Yep.
But I did think that the morphing sequence looked really cool, where it had like the numbers, the zeros and the ones, and like the technology, like whatever binary or whatever language they're doing there.
Hmm.
I thought that was really cool. And by the way, we are checking out chat. So if anybody has any comments that they want to throw out about what they thought about the trailer, feel free. Or any questions or concerns about any of the things we're talking about. We're talking to each other, but we're talking to you as well. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, generally you can see a little bit of the code and stuff there. They definitely are hyping up the technology end of it and making it look like super spies kind of thing, which I dig.
I definitely got some reminiscing themes from RPM,
Yes.
but without it being like everything's terrible. For those who haven't seen RPM, it's essentially if you were to make Mad Max and Power Rangers put together,
Right.
and it's just very kind of down a lot of the time, whereas this has the cool aspects of that, of kind of how Gaz was saying they're a team and they're very centric around these machines that also have some animal aspects, but without all of the negatives of like, oh, we're the only city left on Earth,
Right.
great.
It's almost like if RPM is the dystopian future, this is the non-dystopian future, where it's like
Exactly.
Samurai Ox says, "Is it only three Rangers? Yellow, blue, and red?" Yes. You rarely, but not. They've done it before, but rarely they will start with less than five Rangers, and usually they'll do three, and it'll be those three colors. And they haven't done it in a while, but they are going to start with those three. Spoilers: they'll probably pick up other Rangers along the way. That's sort of,
Hmm.
it's a spoiler, but it's kind of that's just the format of the show usually. But it is not unusual to start with three. And actually, RPM started with three as well, with the other season we were
Correct.
just talking about. So another connection there. And I will say, RPM generally is thought of as one of the best American adaptations. Whether or not it's your favorite season, most
Hmm.
people would agree that it is one of the few times when the American is as good or better than the Japanese version. So that also excites me about this season. I'm gonna go
The
back
one
to.
thing, kind
Good.
of, in regards to Samurai Ox's question, is the seasons that only have three to start usually have some of the more unique stories. The ones I can think of: Ninja Storm, Dino
Mhm.
Thunder, RPM, as you mentioned, and am I missing one?
There's Sun Vulcan, but they never adapted that.
There's,
Um, I
I
think
think
that's it.
those are the only ones that I can think of, and those, I think, kind of, as Gas said, I like Ninja Storm. I don't love it. RPM was
Jungle
great
Fury,
though.
Dolly Girl, Jungle Fury. How could I
Oh,
forget?
Jungle Fury, thank you.
Probably, possibly one of my favorite seasons of all time, and I completely forgot.
I think the reason we forgot is because so many of the other characters and Rangers are so prevalent early.
Right, and again, spoilers if you haven't seen. There's going to be spoilers in this. I apologize, but just for the nature of it, if you haven't seen Jungle Fury, one of the other Rangers, the actor is in the show from the very first episode. So even though he doesn't become a Ranger till later, when you think about it, it's like, oh, well, he was always there. Oh, Airzuki's requesting that I flash my tattoo. This is my Jungle Fury tattoo. This is the tattoo they get. So it's ridiculous that I forgot to mention Jungle Fury.
Yeah, it's almost one of those where, like, we love it so much and we've talked about it. It's like, of course everybody
It's
does.
yeah, it's so obvious that one couldn't have been. Oh, there's the scene I was talking about with them converging on a building. I thought that was really awesome looking. It
Hmm.
actually gave a sense of danger that I think has been missing in a lot of recent Power Rangers seasons.
Yeah, the one thing I'm curious on is there's been a lot of pre-controversy with this season where one of the showrunners or producers, I think, was on Twitter and saying, like, "Oh, a lot of adults don't watch Power Rangers," and people, better than I thought, went on Twitter and politely informed him that there are a lot of adult fans similar to us. That's why we're here.
Right.
And I'm curious to see, based on how the ratings go and kind of what demographics they find, if that'll dictate either future seasons or maybe parts of this season that haven't filmed yet. I know traditionally with the newer seasons during the Nickelodeon era, they'll do like 8 or 10 episodes and then take a huge break and
Right.
then come back and do some more. So if that has any play in it, I'm hoping for the best on that.
Yeah, I hope they don't do those huge breaks, but I would expect this
I know.
season they're gonna change it in good ways, but I feel like if anything they would maybe do it next season. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like they probably have the season mapped out. But honestly, as a kid who watched kid shows and an adult who watches kid shows, and a creative person myself who I've done a little writing now and then in addition to my art, I
Yeah.
really agree with the idea that you don't write down to children.
Yep.
You leave certain aspects out. You don't want it to be rated R, but you don't have to dumb it down, and
Hmm.
they'll rise to the challenge. And if you write smart, good children's television, it could be also accessible to adults. So it's not a matter of writing to adults. Like things like My Little Pony or Ben 10 or I don't know, things like that adults enjoy. It wasn't because they were writing for it. They were clearly for children, and then
Hmm.
adults said, "Hey, I like this too." And I
Well,
think that's what it should be.
I think the perfect example is, for those who didn't see the Oscars last night. I don't know if this is technically a spoiler, but Spider Into the Spider Verse won for Best Animated Picture,
That's a
and I
perfect example. Yeah.
that's where everyone I've talked to has loved it. I've
Yeah.
recommended it to people who know something about Spider-Man, know something about comics, know absolutely nothing, and every person I've talked to said it was so accessible and kind of, they enjoyed a certain aspect. Like, every person I've talked to has either said, "Oh, I loved how easy it was to follow," or "This character was my favorite," or "I really liked this thing that I hadn't seen in other Spider-Man movies," or
Right.
what have you. And I think, I'm hoping that this kind of momentum is carrying over in a lot of these properties that we all grew up with and still continue to like, even though some people at various companies think that we stopped 10 years ago.
Real quick, Ox says, so is it known what beasts they are yet? And the answer is yes.
Hmm.
Red is cheetah, yellow is rabbit, and blue is gorilla. There,
Hmm.
could be others later on, but those are the ones that have been revealed. You could kind of tell by looking at their helmets, but there's also been other media that's shown these things. Let me let's you know what let's jump into the second trailer because we could get into this a little bit more about now that in the second trailer that just dropped a few days ago. You can find it on YouTube. Let me see here. So I'm going to do full screen again. So this is the second. Sorry.
I was gonna say while you're jumping into that, I also heard it was in the top 10 trending videos on YouTube
I
recently.
heard it was number 6, which is funny because speaking of negative people, like YouTube had said, "Hey, Power Rangers is a dead brand" or whatever. So here's the
Yep.
three actors. So this trailer once again had a lot of Japanese footage, as the show does, but we actually got to see the actors in suit. They changed the morph sequence. It has this sort of tornado, which I didn't like, but then when I saw, you could see there's the cheetah, there's the gorilla, and then in a minute they'll show the rabbit. That kind of sold me on it. Like I wasn't into the tornado because I liked the techie stuff, but the fact that they made this rabbit look intimidating impressed me because I'm like, it's a rabbit. Wow, that yeah, I'd be scared of that. That's
Looks kind
pretty
of cool, yeah.
yeah. But it was still short. I think it was possibly shorter than the first one. But going with what you said about the first one, they definitely were hyping up the action and the tech, and you could see. I think they were a little bit rebranding, or not rebranding, but resetting. Like in old
Hmm.
time radio, every time they come back from a break, they'd be like, "Hey, I'm Jim, and you're listening to Jim and the Fart Dog on 210-653." And I feel like that's what they're doing. They're like, "We've got morphers and megazords and monsters." They're kind of like basically just telling you what the show is for
Yeah.
kids who maybe don't know what Power Rangers are, and they're like, "Oh, is that what it is? That's kind of cool." Maybe So I think that was it's weird and obvious for us, but I think it's smart for any kids that maybe because I feel like a lot of kids know what Power Rangers are, but maybe aren't into it the way kids of the past were, where they just sort of see the commercial but don't actually watch the show.
Well, I think also just to anybody who maybe hasn't watched in a while or forgot Power Rangers was even on,
Hmm.
that it's good to kind of put it down to those bare bones of what is it about these bullet points.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the last couple seasons, the trailers and even the commercials in between are, oh, here's this really convoluted thing that you probably don't know because you don't even watch. Like for me,
Yeah.
whenever I'd see the promos for Ninja Steel, I'd just look and be like, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
It was more like a music video or something where yeah.
Yeah, like it'd be a plethora of things, and it'd be like, watch on Saturday. It's like, okay, there were some explosions, and I heard teamwork was said, and that was kind of it.
Ox is getting pretty excited by those. The rabbit looks ridiculous, and I kind now Ox, as far as I know, isn't a Power Rangers fan, or at least not a current Power Rangers fan. So if it looks good to him, then they're doing their job of making it look cool.
Yeah,
The
I,
one thing I'll say, this monster, I forget the name of the bad guy. This is the Vendrix of this season.
yeah,
Don't love it. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. This shot looks
yeah.
a little better. The still shots actually look better than when it's animated.
Hmm.
The fact that it's like some sort of computer generated monster or a computer virus helps, but it's I'm hoping it's better than I think it's going to be as far as the visuals go.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's more of kind of in the background and isn't like an actual thing that they have to fight. And if it is, I hope it like kind of quote unquote infects one of the bad guys and
Right.
kind of like possesses it to kind of use different bad guys just because, yeah, it's a weird looking snake.
I agree. I get the impression that that will be like the Lord Zed or the Rita, where we'll see them more plotting in their base as opposed to actually fighting, which I think is a better way to use it. But I do like the idea of infecting it so that they could be fighting essentially the same enemy in different bodies over and over again. That would be
Yeah.
kind of a cool thing that we haven't seen before.
One thing I just noticed looking at the screen caps is
Hmm.
it looks like the Red Ranger not morphed is kicking a dark red looking Ranger.
Well, I noticed that too. There, from the toys, there are two Red Ranger figures, and I
Yes.
thought the second one looks almost like a powered up version, like with his battle eyes or whatever. But I've
Hmm.
heard that maybe it's not. Maybe it's an evil Red Ranger. So,
I've
uh,
heard of three in terms of the toys. There's
mhm.
the main Red Ranger that we know. There's that same Red Ranger with like weird power ups, and then there's like almost like a maroon Red Ranger that has like a slightly different cat like animal,
Mhm.
and like the ears are a lot more pronounced. And based on that screen cap, it'd be cool if they, similar to three season things, bring back a kind of adjacent Ranger like they did in Ninja Storm.
Gotcha. So, where they're like not necessarily on the team, but they have ranger powers.
Yeah, it could be a thing like they're anti-heroes, they're villains, they're later heroes, whatever it can be. I
Right.
like the small fight. It could even be one of those uh kind of one-offs that they do every season where it's like, oh, so and so's bad, let's go fight him.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of the bad ranger turned good kind of trope or the uneasy
Hmm.
alliance. Let's check chat. I think we missed a few things. Dolly Girl says, I like the colors of the Cobra Snake. Yeah, I do like the colors. I like I said, the still works better for me than when it's moving, so I don't mind the design. Airzuki, Holy Potato. I just watched the trailer. That CGI is actually good, especially compared to other seasons. Agree. Airzuki, I just hope they didn't put all their tricks in the trailer. I hope the show looks. Yeah, I thought about that too. Where it's like, hey, look, here's the best 8 seconds of the entire season. That could be true, but hopefully not. And then Airzuki, for some reason, my video got stuck on this still shot of the Rangers fighting. If anyone else sees that reloading worked. Oh, her video. Okay, gotcha. So if our slideshow stopped, then reload.
Yeah.
Samurai Ox says cheetah, powered cheetah, and curious cheetah. Those are the three cheetahs. And Dolly Girl, Airzuki, I hope so too. Keeps the hype up if they're consistent. Yeah. It definitely seems like people are excited about this. It seems like the longtime fans are excited for like the refresh, and people that maybe didn't pay attention for a while are like, wait, what's going on? Power Rangers is still around? Something's happening with Power Rangers, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing. But it's good. So they've done a good job of getting people to care and look again. But now the real challenge is going to be to give them a reason to stick around. Diehard fans like us are going to watch it no matter what because oh, maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll tie into next season, maybe they'll bring back an old, like there's reasons to keep watching for us. But the challenge is going to be the kids and the adults that they're bringing back that haven't watched in a while. And I think they're off to a good start. I hope it lives up to the hype.
I agree. With kind of possibilities for this season, I know it's been teased about that with all the budget it seems they've used with the CG and how it looks. I don't think all of this is from the Sentai, to be honest. I think some of it is from Hasbro directly for new footage, even though it makes it look like it's straight from the Japanese show. I think some
Right.
of it is new and could be a little pricier than maybe we're used to as Power Ranger fans.
Right.
What are some things that you are either looking forward to or would wish happened or hope would happen in the upcoming season?
Well, one thing that is always said, like, oh, I hope they bring back old Rangers, but I have heard the thing that because this is infecting the whole morphing grid, he's trying to attack the morphing grid,
Yeah.
that it makes sense that, oh, maybe another Ranger could come back. Um, so going with that, RPM crossover. I mean, I know it's dreaming, especially because the actor that played Scott, like, kind of, he's SAG now, so he can't come back really. But
Yeah.
like, if we could get some kind of even if Dr. K just showed up, like we need a consult and Dr. K showed up, I would love that.
Yeah.
Any crossover would be cool, but RPM would be my dream with this team. Um, as far as the budget stuff, beyond that, I would like to see. Um, I don't know. That's the only thing that comes to mind. What about you? You got something there?
So in the Japanese show, a lot of times what they'll do is crossover movies or multi-episode parts with previous seasons. Now the weird thing about this is because this takes place in the Sentai before kind of the current seasons, before Ninja
Right.
Steel or anything like
They
that,
adapted
they
it
have a
out of
lot of
order.
flexibility. Yeah, so in the order for that, it went the Japanese equivalent of Dino Charge, then Beast Morphers. So to me, I was a huge fan of Dino Charge. I think it kind of ended wonky,
Right.
but definitely a great cast. A lot of the actors I think would be open to coming back, and I know that they had a crossover movie
Hmm.
where if they were willing to, edit accordingly with American footage, I think that would be awesome. Because the thing that I look back on previous seasons of like episodes I love are the crossovers. Forever
Right.
Red, the Wild Force crossover, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
Force and Wild Force, awesome. Even Zeo with Alien Rangers was cool. It wasn't my
I mean,
favorite, but it was still really
and you're
cool.
going way back there, but let's look at Ninja Steel. And without getting nasty, it's a season that most people are disappointed with, let's say.
Hmm.
But even in this season that most people are unhappy with, the crossover where they brought back the old Rangers, everybody loved it.
Oh
I,
yeah,
I
it
mean,
was
barring a
awesome.
few people, so it's like even a season that isn't popular, that could really make it stand out. So that is kind of an obvious one. Let me check chat real quick. I think I missed something here. Erzuki says, "Oh yeah, those RPM vibes are strong. You're right." And Samurai Ox says, "Hashtag bring back the fluted dragon." I assume you mean Tommy. Tommy's come back quite a few times, and I'm a big
Yeah.
Tommy fan. Wouldn't mind if he came back, but he's kind of had a bunch of, you know, times to come back already, so I would like to let
Yeah.
someone else have a chance. Dino Charge sounds good. The whole movie cast coming back, I don't know if they could do that. I would love to see it, but it'd be tough. I think though you hit on something, a broader point of the movies. Super Sentai makes a movie almost every year, usually
Hmm.
two or more, where they have the incoming team and the outgoing team crossover. Then there's some
Yep.
middle one where maybe they cross over with Kamen Rider or some other franchise. And then they have the new team. So each movie gets sort of like an introductory movie and an outgoing movie crossover. And
Hmm.
they never really adapt those anymore. So even putting aside like individual episodes or individual rangers, it seems like if with a little bit more budget, why not make those movies and have it, they don't have to be in the movie theater necessarily, but have it be an event like a made for TV movie, like, oh, you thought the season was over, but you didn't know before next season starts, we've got this special event movie, we're hyping it on Nick, and make it like a big event.
Hmm.
And I think that would also be a good way to get people excited about the characters from the next season because you see them interact with the characters you already know and like.
Yep.
So I agree with you, but I think the bigger point is just use that footage like more often. It's there.
One thing also, I to be totally honest, I haven't finished Ninja Steel just because I'm not the hugest fan of it. I love
Mhm.
the anniversary episode.
Right.
That was great. I watched that with Gazbot live,
Yes.
and we both had joyous times watching.
Oh yeah.
Um, what I was gonna say though is one of the other crossover episodes had I forget the character's name, but he's a metal hero,
Oh,
and
yes.
my
I'm blanking on his name.
I'm
Just Beyond, maybe. I don't know. I forget now. I forget
no
his name.
no it wasn't that he was like
Wind
a
Spectre, maybe.
sword
It doesn't matter.
something.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Yeah.
He's a metal hero.
Um, yeah. So in terms of rights on what Hasbro has, I'm curious if they can sprinkle in a Kamen Rider if they want, or they can put
Right.
in, a different character outside of Power Rangers and then introduce them in the Power Ranger mythos. They did it in the '90s with Masked Rider.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever did something with Big Bad Beetleborgs, but they should have. Um,
Agreed.
so those kind of things, like I like the possibilities, but at the same time, I hate putting those ideas in my head, and then
Because
if
then
they
you're
don't happen, I'm like
disappointed.
super bummed out.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. In chat, Erzuki says, didn't finish Ninja Steel. Get him out of here. Ox is flipping tables. You've disappointed the world.
Well, to Samurai Axe's credit, I did watch the commercial again for Cheddar Goblin, so at least I'm in
There you
the
go.
good graces there. Different joke, different stream.
That's
Gazbot, go watch it.
that's for the our request. Yeah. So let me. You know what? Let me turn on. I have the first trailer still playing here. Let me put the second trailer on. Boop. There we go. Should be going now. There we go. Um, yeah. So generally positive vibes for both. Oh, actually, something else I wanted to mention. We got very little of the human actors. We didn't even hear a line of dialogue. We basically just saw them reacting and fighting and stuff.
Hmm.
But there is a shot which I'll come up in a minute of the Yellow Ranger fighting, and she's got a face, and the three Ranger actors. This is the first time they're all on social media, and there she is, that right there. You can't. Well, it's covered up by the table, but she's got like a face, which there it is. I love it. I love it. And I already kind of had a vibe that I might like her best just from her personality on social media, And
Yeah.
this is one of the first times I've ever followed the actors before the show started. And there's the Red Ranger you were talking about that he's kicking. And
Hmm.
some of my favorite Rangers, some of my favorite female Rangers are Yellow Rangers, like from Jungle Fury, for example. And part of what I like is when they're just like really badass and they're just like, "Gah!" And like, they're not, they're just like warriors. And so that face makes me think, you know what? She might be my favorite. I'm basing it on just that face. She might be my favorite.
I think I actually saw on Instagram she was training with Chris Cantata Force, I believe.
Yes. Well, they were both training with the guy who was in Lightspeed Rescue and
Oh,
or
Mike Chat.
I think it was Mike Chat
I think.
or the Quantum Ranger. I'm kind of mixing it up, but it was a thing where
Okay.
because Chris Cantata is not a martial artist. He
Hmm.
works out and he learns enough martial arts to do his videos.
Yep.
But he would not be training her. It was both of them training under
Treating,
someone else.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they were sparring or doing some kind of partner drill where they
Right.
were going against each other, which is what I remember. And since she had a staff in there, it reminded me of it too, because I think she was doing some staff work.
I did not see that, but that sounds good. I do hope that they're all getting better martial arts training. Not and nothing against the martial artists we've had so far, but my understanding is that it used to be a lot more intense from the earlier seasons, and they've kind
Mm-hmm.
of slacked on that lately because of budget or whatever. So I
Yeah.
like the idea that if they're either getting actual martial arts training or at the very least like stage fighting training, much
Yeah.
more intense. Because we like seeing the actors take off their helmet and still be able to fight, or like that's part of the fun because it connects the characters to their Ranger
Yeah.
counterparts. Let me check chat real quick. Oh, Ox nicely placed the table back. That's nice, and Dolly appreciated that. Now it's all safe again. uh, so I'm actually
I,
managing to get a little drawing done. Not as much as I would normally be, but
that seems
yeah,
par for the course whenever we have discussions.
yeah. So let me check time. So we've been talking a little over a half hour. The normal show will probably be closer to an hour because we'll have more to talk about with the actual show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have it set in stone yet. The other thing is, right now the time is Monday at 5:30. That might need to be adjusted. I'm gonna have to talk to the Big Dog Defender off stream. I'll put an update and let you guys know, or you could check my Twitch page. There's always a counter below to let you know. It will be weekly, and it will be after the new episode airs. We're just trying to figure out the exact proper time. So hold on. Airzuki says the choreography is what makes up for the bad CGI, so they better invest in that. We can't see the drawing though. Oh, derp! Just realized it's the green mask above your face. Ignore me. Okay. Yeah, I normally when I'm doing art videos I make it bigger, but the point of this is the episode we're talking about. So this is just a little side thing to let you guys know. Hey, I also do art. I have an Etsy store. I sell Power Rangers art. It's a commercial for me. All right. So I think I pretty much have said all I have to say about the trailers. What about you?
In regards to the trailer, I think the only thing like good, bad in between is I like almost all of it. The Cobra leaves a little to be desired, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic. And the most intriguing thing after looking at the stills again is both the opportunity for more choreography and fighting that we were used to in the old seasons, and then also the mystery behind this Crimson Ranger or whatever their title is actually going to be. And I think those are things that make me that much more stoked to look on Saturday to see, am I finding out any of this? Hopefully the fighting part, probably not the Ranger part. You still there?
Hello. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you
Sorry.
now.
That brings up a good point. I agree with everything you're saying. Ox was asking when does the show start? It is this Saturday on Nickelodeon. I believe it's 8 a.m. Does that sound correct to you?
I think so. Yeah, it's pretty early.
Check your
I'm
local listings.
yeah, I'm gonna have it on my DVR. I don't know about you.
I will probably watch it streaming after, like I'll watch it on the Nick.com site while I'm
Hmm.
drawing. Let me see. Dolly Girl said, "Who is the guy who's at MorphCon with you at your table when you were out in your suit?" That was a guy named the Big Dog Defender. This gentleman, that guy
Oh, I think
at Power Morphicon.
if it's from the first still, it is me. If it is not, and Gaz is holding up art, I think it was someone who had purchased his art.
No, she's
And
saying who was watching the table. Yeah, I knew it. Yes, yeah, he was watching. Yes,
oh, oh,
yes.
got it.
You were
Sorry,
the guy who watched the table when I had to walk away from the table. Yes, this and there you go. So proof that he is my
it's
Ranger
me.
bud.
Yeah, I have photographic evidence and labor to show for it.
Ox says, "All right, I'm bookmarking it so I can have something to say during the show. I just know I'm coming in completely blind." That's awesome, Ox. That's really cool because you're gonna have a different experience than
Woof
anybody
woof.
else. Big dog, woof woof. So Ox, did you watch Mighty Morphin back in the day, or have you watched any Power Rangers, or would this literally be your first Power Rangers show? Because it would be really cool to hear your take on it because it's coming into a new a new season, a new ownership,
Mhm.
and a new viewer all at the same time. That'd be really cool to see how that works out.
If it is your first show, Samurai Ox, then I'm more invested that it's good. Because if it's bad, then
Then we're gonna lose you.
it's an
Yeah.
uphill battle.
Yeah. It's like if
That's
you really like a band and their new album comes out and then like, oh no, it wasn't good, and then your friend doesn't believe you that it was good.
It's like all those kids that are like, "Oh yeah, I started on Megaforce." You're like, "I'm so sorry."
But here's the thing. If they liked Megaforce, great. Because now if they like Megaforce, there's gonna be other seasons that they might like even better. You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
But if you start
Set the
on like one of
bar.
the best seasons ever, it's like, oh, there's nowhere to go but down.
What's funny, even those seasons that we don't like as much, we have more toys, I think, from Super Megaforce than most other shows in the last 10 years. And
Well,
you
because of
love
the
Robo
Ranger
Knight.
keys. I do love
Oh
Robo Knight.
yeah.
Hence my name, Gazbot Knight. I'm a big fan of the kind of cheesy characters. I love Robo Knight. I love Ninjor. I like Blue Centurion. Yeah, Robo Knight. I've got a 12-inch figure of him that talks with Chrome. I don't know. He's so cheesy, but he's so earnest. I'm Robo Knight, defender of the earth. You know, like I love it.
And then he just
Yeah,
goes away for a while.
yeah. Well,
Dolly Girl,
that's bad rating.
I don't remember your name off the top of my head, but I think I remember us chatting. If you're who I'm thinking you were, and we chatted different times, whether Gaz was there or Gaz wasn't. I think I remember.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, I mean, not to blow up her anonymity, but I think her name is Dolly.
okay, well,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh,
Amanda.
she blew it up. Okay, there you go. Ox says first couple seasons when they got into White Tiger Zord, but other than that, a few random. Okay, of Mystic Force. Mystic Force is one of the few seasons I haven't seen, so you got me beat on that one. Well, that's cool. So, you're not completely blind, but it's basically Mighty Morphin, and then that was it for a while. So, I still think it's a good way to come back in. And it'll be, again, interesting to hear your perspective because obviously we've been kept up to date, and I know Dolly has a pretty good background in Power Rangers, and so does Arazuki and a few other people. So, it's going to be cool to get different perspectives from different levels of fandom and experience, etc.
Well, Amanda, thanks for coming back and continuing the Morphicon conversations.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't get sick of talking about Power Rangers.
No,
That's
not
why
at all.
we made the show.
And Dolly Girl's always there for my Twitch requests too, so she's a big supporter. So she's awesome.
Nice.
Okay. All right, so let's see. We're getting close to an hour, so I want to wrap it up soon.
Hmm.
One other thing I'll mention, actually, I should have probably, well, this isn't exactly news because it's older, but for those that don't know, there is a Power Rangers comic that is being put out by Boom Studios. It's really good. This is a one-off. This is called Soul of the Dragon. So even if you haven't read the comic, this is Tommy Oliver as an older guy, and you could see it's got. Actually, I'm gonna do the one shot so people can see it better. The idea, it's kind of like the old man Logan of Power Rangers, not quite that dark,
Hmm.
but it's got the 5 Rangers he's been, and then him as an older guy. I realized that this jacket he has kind of reminds me of Deckard's jacket from Blade Runner. But
Kinda, yeah.
but like I'll give you the interior artist is different. I actually kind of prefer the cover artist, but the interior art's not bad either. I just got done reading this. It came out I don't know a month ago, so I'm a little late to that, but I do think it's a good comic, and it would be good for someone who maybe hasn't picked up any of them and only was new Mighty Morphin or whatever. It might be a fun way to jump back in, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't want to give away too many spoilers. I liked the ending. The ending, like the whole thing was pretty good, and then the ending really sold it for me.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't love, and I mean it's minor spoilers. Like he uses all his powers in the book. I mean that's and there's this moment that should have been amazing that wasn't. That I'll go ahead and blow up right now. He is about to use his Zeo power. And keep in mind this is like 20 years after Zeo, and he said, okay, as Jordan always said that the Zeo powers got stronger over time, and it's been 20 years. And I'm like, oh my god! And he morphs up and he beats up a person or two, and then that's it. And I'm like, that was so anticlimactic. Like it was this.
Yeah.
Like I thought he was gonna like accidentally knock down a building or like just be like raw Super Saiyan kind of flying out there. Hey Airzuki, thanks for the subscription. I appreciate that.
Woohoo!
You are an awesome subscriber. Yeah. So overall I liked the book, but I felt like that was setting up for a really cool moment that didn't pay off. That was
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't remember if we talked at length about it or not.
we didn't because I just finished it yesterday.
Oh, well, then there we go. Um, well, we can save that for another day. What I
Sure.
will say, support your local comic book stores.
Oh yeah.
But if you also happen to have Amazon Prime, it's $13. So there's that. I
Yes.
just checked last night.
I agree with both things. Better to get it local, but better to get it anywhere than not at all.
True. One thing, since you did bring up the comics,
Sure.
The graphic novel that you brought up is awesome. Don't disagree at all.
Hmm.
I highly recommend all of the Power Ranger books they're putting out right now. I'm not 100% current on Go-Go Power Rangers, but it is also great. And then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is awesome and one of my favorite comics in the last 5 years.
I agree. The whole Shattered Grid thing was amazing. Even if you're not a Power Rangers fan, it was just a really fun story and comic.
Yeah, I watched a lot of top 10, top 20, top 100 lists of comics from last year, and every person that had that on their list was like, I don't like Power Rangers, but this is awesome. And
Yeah.
if you like Power Rangers, it's probably better, and it is. It's so
Yeah.
great. For the other two series, Go-Go Power Rangers follows the original 5 Rangers from Mighty Morphin before Tommy even is mentioned or a thing, and it just brings back the nostalgia of kind of what you remember back in the day. And then that came out after Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which the first, I think it's 7 trades, 7 volumes, is the original team of 6. Not long after Tommy joins the team after the whole Green with Evil arc, and the easiest way I can describe it is the way you thought of Power Rangers as a kid, with everything being all grand and the danger being so real, like, oh, are they going to beat this monster? Is the world going to end tomorrow? They actually bring that level of severity
Yeah.
into the comic and acknowledge it. And
I've described it almost the same way. It's like what
mhm,
you think it was. Like not what it was, but what you thought it was. Like, yeah.
exactly. And highly recommend all of those books to anybody interested in them. Volume one of those, I think, is $10 or less on Amazon, also,
We don't have to give
but
everybody the
also
prices.
available in the, I'm a bargain hunter, so if
Sure.
I
Oh
can get
yeah.
it
Yeah.
if I can get it cheaper, I know I'll suggest to people. But definitely worth it. And then as we gear up for Beast Morphers, it's always cool to look at the Rangers that everybody started with and kind of seeing the
Absolutely.
stories told for a more mature audience that can handle a little bit different storytelling, which I really like personally.
Agreed. Um, this show we're gonna do it once a week. Usually it'll be a Big Dog Defender with me. If not, I'll get somebody else to fill in. But I'll be here. I'll be here every week. Like I said, I don't know 100% if it's gonna be the exact same day and time. I will update you. This is what we're aiming for right now.
Hmm.
Um, the next day I will repost on YouTube. So if you can't catch it live, you can watch it on YouTube. And on YouTube, there's a comment section. So if you have requests, you want us to talk about something, you have a question about a toy or anything Power Rangers related, but you can't watch live or you thought of it after the show, go on YouTube. Actually, I'll put a little link to the YouTube right now. Go on YouTube, put it there because that sticks around and we can look at it later. Woof woof. But we are going to call it quits for now. You don't have to watch the show this weekend, but why not? It's going to be there Saturday, Nickelodeon, probably at 8 in the morning, and if not, it'll be on at some point in the day, and then again, it'll be streaming on the website at some point, which is probably how I will watch it. But for now, I've been Gazbot Knight,
I have been Big Dog Defender.
and this had been our Ranger talk show, which as of yet does not have a name. All right, thanks everybody for sticking by, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.
Thanks, everybody. See you guys later.